Hello and warm welcome to join us for this edition of AN English News, and I'm Abdulahad Mohammadi. A suicide bomber targeting a funeral procession has killed more than 20 people and injured nearly 50 others in northern Takhar province on Sunday afternoon, officials said. Among the dead is Abdul Muttalib Beg, a member of Lahore House of Parliament. Local officials say people were gathering for a funeral when a suicide bomber detonated himself. No group has taken responsibility for the attack, but Taliban are blamed for such audacious attacks. Interior Ministry says security forces have killed 30 suspected insurgents in a series of clashes around the country. A ministry statement says the army, police and NATO troops launched a total of 11 operations in the past 24 hours across Afghanistan. It says 7 insurgents were arrested. Separately, NATO says one of its helicopters crash-landed in Narsaraj district of Helmand province on Sunday after taking small arms fire from the ground. There were no injuries among the crew. President Hamid Karzai said Saturday Kabul will not sign a strategic partnership deal with the U.S. until NATO-led night raids and house search stop. The president's remarks came after he heard back from a government-appointed delegation assigned to look into civilian casualties sustained during recent NATO airstrikes and nighttime raids. The president stressed that the strategic partnership document will not be signed until the night raids and house search stop. His office said in a statement, NATO has defended the operations as the safest way of targeting insurgent leaders, insisting they'll continue. At least 2 U.S. servicemen were gunned down by 2 Afghan Drogo soldiers in western Farah province on Saturday, local officials said. The incident took place in Pushti Road district of Farah province as 2 Afghan National Army soldiers opened fire on American troops, wounding 5 others, the officials added. Meanwhile, one of the shooters was killed in return fire and another one was captured, officials said. This is not the first time that Afghan soldiers are killing American troops in the country. Several other Western soldiers had been killed by their Afghan colleagues in the past. Iran said on Sunday it is now harboring an alleged al-Qaeda fundraiser who has a $10 million U.S. bounty on his head, with the foreign ministry calling the claim baseless. The U.S. charged that Iran was protecting Syrian-born Izzeddin Abdulaziz Khalil was part of an inept attempt to implicate Iran in the September 11, 2000 attacks on the United States. Ministry spokesman Ramin Minman-Press said, according to the state-run news agency, the U.S. State Department on Thursday said Khalil might be living in Iran. More Afghans will go hungry next year and may be dependent on food aid for longer as school feeding programs and projects to develop the country's crumbling agriculture sector have to be trimmed due to waning donor support, the United Nations warned. The UN's World Food Program raised only about half its annual $400 million Afghanistan budget in 2011, and even less was expected for 2012. Bradley Garand, the agency's deputy director for Afghanistan, told writers donor support had been cut on the back of global economic woes. The UN General Assembly on Saturday approved a 5% decrease in the United Nations budget for 2012-2013. Only the second time in 50 years that the world body has slashed its spending. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon praised the General Assembly for reducing costs at a time when governments around the world are cutting expenditures and implementing austerity measures in response to the global financial crisis. The reduction only benefits the developed nations. Sudan's army has killed a key rebel leader from the western Darfur region 3 days after anti-government forces said they had begun advancing on the capital Khartoum. The Sudanese army announces that they killed Khalil Ibrahim in fighting in the west of Wad Banda, the official Sudan news agency said on Sunday. Ibrahim had headed the Justice and Equality Movement, the most heavily armed group in the Darfur region, which the government had accused him of being behind earlier attacks. And that's all for now. Thanks for being with us.